welcome to our February 18th, 2026 work session. Is there a motion to accept or modify the agenda this evening?
Madam Chair, I move that we modify the agenda to include a presentation by the superintendent following this.
Is there a second? A second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Dr. Wright.
Thank you, Madam Chair and school board members. Tonight we have a special presentation recognizing February 2026 as the designation of School Board Appreciation Month in Virginia, recognizing the vital, often behind the scenes work of our local school board members in shaping education. The 2026 theme, From Strong Roots Come Endless Possibilities, highlights their dedication to planting seeds for student success, governing with community values, and fostering growth. In addition, January is also School Board Clerk Appreciation Week, which we want to recognize our clerk and our deputy clerk this evening as well. So we have some gifts and we have some flowers, and Ms. Bragg is going to assist with the presentation, and I will help hand these out as well. So we're going to recognize Ms. Klein, Ms. Jones, Dr. Pence, Ms. Salins, Mr. McFadden, this evening with cards from our schools and some artwork that they have provided, and some stuff from the school board office as well. And then we also want to recognize our clerk, Ms. Sarah Stelzel, and then our deputy clerk, Krista Breeden, for the work that they are doing around the clock as well. So if we could all give them a round of applause. Great.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Make this. Yeah.
Those are beautiful.
Guys, so you do cards for those? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Again, thank you very much for our clerks and our board members. We appreciate all that you do for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Next up this evening, we have our consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Up next this evening, we have reports, and we have our school resource officer report and update. Welcome.
Thank you. Which one are you going to start with? I will wait for you to pull it and then I'll go from it. All right, so here we have the SRO year-to-date report. So between August 25 through January 26, we've had 116 incidents. I did look right before I came. This time last year, we were at 118. So we'll take it. It's small wins. So you can see again, the highlights are our fights. THC vapes still remain prevalent. Our threat assessments, and then informational reports. And I did want to touch base. I'm not sure if a lot of people know, but effective last year, there was some change in vapes. So in 2024, we lost the ability to be able to charge juveniles with regular nicotine vapes. It's no longer a crime for them. The only thing that we can do is take it and get rid of it. 2024 or 2025 came about the THC clause. So our hang up right now is that we cannot charge juveniles with THC vapes until a lab analysis confirms that they're greater than 0.3%. So by the time we get the vapes, submit them to the labs, it's 3 to 4 months before we get it back, and we can't charge or do anything through the court system until we have that certificate of analysis. Whereas prior, what we could do is I could look up the vapes, show that it had THC, and that was good enough for the courts. We could move on. We could go through the diversion process. We had a little bit more leeway. Whereas right now we're kind of behind the ball because 4 months afterwards, they're not even thinking about the time that they got the vapes, and some of them have 3 or 4 more charges after that. So we're really fighting it. We're trying to think of new ways and things that we can combat it. But you do see an increase in that, and you'll see the same kids with the same things. And it's honestly because we're running behind, and that's the way it is. So I did want to mention that the legislators are kind of really hindering the process. They think they're helping by, making it harder to get these juveniles involved. But in reality, it's giving them the opportunity without any consequences for possessing these THC vapes. So I did want to at least bring that up so everybody's on the same page and kind of understanding where we're coming from. So what we've kind of done to kind of curve that is if they have a second or third offense, we will pull that first offense and charge right underneath that first offense so that we can go ahead and get it in the process. And then hopefully by the time we get that second or third subsequent, we will have more to build off of it. So sometimes if it's their first, they've never been charged, we probably aren't going to do anything with it except for the vape intervention classes and really hit home with that. But then the subsequents we're charging based off of that first one. So we're kind of holding them in a holding pattern, if that makes sense. But we're hoping to figure something out. But right now, legislation isn't really working with us. Next up, we have the January report. We did have 17 incidents in January compared to 5 January 2025. However, there were a lot more snow days January last year. So again, same things we're seeing over and over again. Nothing really crazy standing out from there. In addition to that, I have some over spring break this year. And I emailed these out to the elementary school principals to have as well to send. So over spring break this year, we are offering a junior deputy camp. It's going to be held March 31st through April 1st. It's $20 per child. Lunch is included. And they're really going to get that hands-on police academy experience. We're going to go through the defensive tactics. We're going to go through the law enforcement basics and things like that so they can really get a handle on what we actually do. So that's going to take place over spring break. We have our PALS open house, which is held at the Student Union Center. That's going to be on March 5th from 5:30 to 7:30. Again, meals are provided. So when we have these kids, we also try to feed them and make sure that we're doing that as well. And then lastly is kind of just an overview of our upcoming events. So today they were making dog toys for the Humane Society. So we got a bunch of plastic bottles, some torn up clothes and things, and they made dog toys last night. Of course, March 5th is the PAL open house. The 13th, we have open gym. St. Patrick's Day, we're having a fun event. The junior deputy camp. April, we're going to start Easter egg hunts, another open gym, and a kids paint and sip. So we're trying to keep these kids as active as we can and hopefully get them away from, some of the other things. So we're starting at the younger kids and hopefully it'll carry over. So any questions for me?
Is there any more that we could do since you guys can't charge them?
Write your legislators.
Okay.
They do truly think that they're helping us putting these things in place and really targeting the shop owners themselves. But in the end, kind of like we've seen in the news, right? These vape companies have endless amount of money. So the forfeitures and things like that doesn't bother them. It's not going to stop them. And I think we need to look back at, hey, what can we do to help? And, maybe that is, incorporating DARE in the middle school. There's a middle school program now. DARE just did a huge revamp. So coming the 26-27 school year, the elementary school program is all new. It's revamped. They did a middle school and even a high school. They have enhancement lessons and things like that. So maybe that's our next step. the problem is, as we all know, finding that 45-minute block to get in those classes when teachers are already fighting for every minute they can education wise. So I think that will be our biggest hurdle, but those are things that we can look at. I should have the new DARE material. Hopefully they're saying within the next couple of weeks to kind of review and kind of look over to see if we feel that it's maybe appropriate for our middle schoolers. So yeah, that's all I have. So thank you.
Next up this evening, we have our action agenda, and just for anybody who's new here this evening, before each item, I'll ask if there's anyone from the public who would like to speak on that item. You'll have 3 minutes to speak on that specific item that we're going to be presenting. So the first item this evening is an approval of expenditure for Virtual Virginia Spring 2026 enrollment. Ms. Bragg will be speaking on that. Is there anyone here from the public to speak on that?
Good evening. I've brought Virtual Virginia online instructional services to the board before. This is the spring 2026 semester bill in the amount of $50,325 for the spring semester. We have 57 students enrolled in Virtual Virginia coursework, and that may range from a student that has one course online to a student that is there for their full-time enrollment. There are 3 elementary students, about 12 or so middle school students, and then the rest of them are high school students. Any questions?
Is there a motion?
I move that approval be given to pay Virtual Virginia for online instruction provided to Warren County students for the spring 2026 semester in the amount of $50,325.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you, Ms. Bragg.
Thank you.
Next up this evening, we have acceptance of Math Innovation Grant and request for additional appropriation. Is there anyone other than Ms. Bragg to speak on that? Okay, Ms. Bragg.
So tonight I come before the board to officially announce, I think I may have mentioned it to the board maybe at the beginning of the month board meeting, that Warren County has received the Math Innovation Grant from the Virginia Department of Education. Our full ask was awarded in the amount of $179,034.60. The funds are going to be spent. It's on middle school focus, middle school math focus, to include professional development that is going to be with a consultant that's coming into our schools and working with our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math teams to work on student-centered thinking to help enhance our math instruction and kind of move from a more teacher-centered focus to a more student-centered focus with math. The other large purchase that is accounted for in the money in the request is to the purchase of high quality instructional materials for middle school. And we talked a little bit through that when we were looking at textbooks in the budget. Middle school math instructional materials can be covered through this grant. So that's where we will use some of the money to pay for those. We are in the process of vetting middle school math books and going through that adoption process. We have not made a decision about a particular book as of yet. So that is to come, and we'll be going through the steps of making those books available and having meetings with parents and things like that to get their input as well. So tonight I'm asking for the money to be able to be authorized from the county into our budget. And at the first March board meeting, when we do the instructional spotlight, we're going to have a middle school math teacher come in that will be demonstrating with you all participating in some of that math-centered or student-centered math problems, and kind of show and demonstrate what this PD that has already started with the consultant last year and is continuing this year. So she'll be able to kind of demonstrate what we're doing. So we can talk a little more about the details of the grant for sure. sure, but she'll be able to sort of give you a taste of what we're looking at in middle school math.
Any questions for Ms. Bragg? Is there a motion?
I move that Warren County Public Schools accept the Math Innovation Grant Award in the total amount of $179,034.60 and authorize the superintendent to request the additional appropriation from Warren County Board of Supervisors.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bragg. All right, next up this evening, we have policy review and update. This is the third and final reading of our chunk of SBMA policies that we've been working through. Is there anyone here from the public to speak on that this evening? Dr. Costner.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members. As you do know, this is, again, the third reading of the policies from SBMA that we've been going through and received, and our policy committee has also reviewed them. We'll bring them forth tonight for you all to approve these policies as presented.
Questions for Dr. Costner? Is there a motion?
I move that the Warren County School Board approves the SBMA updated policies as presented.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Costner. Next up, we have the third reading of the updated policy BCE, school board committees. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on that policy? Dr. Costner.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members. This is the third reading of the policy BCE, which is the school board committees. And the first reading was on January 21st. The second reading was on February 4th. So we do bring this forth for approval as presented.
Any questions, comments on this policy?
I'm glad we got you added into the policy.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Is there a motion?
I move that the Warren County School Board approves policy BCE, school board committees and policy, just that,
That's pres-
as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Thank you. And next, we have the third reading of the updated policy BCG, school attorney. Is there anyone here from the public to speak on that one? Dr. Costner.
Madam Chair, board members, thank you. The policy that we did present and put forth, as we had discussion in our last meeting, was asked to be sent to the attorney. Our attorney did review and make recommendations. Therefore, it was compiled based on the information from the committee and also the information from the attorney. So we do bring this forward to be approved as presented.
Any questions, comments on this? Is there a motion?
I move that the Warren County School Board approves policy BCG, school attorney as presented.
Is there a second? A second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Costner. Okay. At this time, I'd like to open up the public hearing on the fiscal year 2027 superintendent's budget. If there's a sign up, is there a sign up sheet?
Yes, 4 people signed up.
Okay, you'll have 3 minutes. Ms. Stelzel will let you know when it's your turn, and then we'll go from there. Ms. Stelzel, who is first on the list?
The first person is Andrea Braid. To get this to restart. Hi there. My name is Andrea Brady. I am a teacher of 27 years. I've dedicated my entire career, more than half of my life, to Warren County. My children went here as well, went through Warren County. They are now grown, graduated, and doing their own adultish kind of things. I just wanted to give a perspective as quickly as I possibly could on speaking for the teachers and the budget. that's being proposed. I started out teaching, obviously, with a 2-income household. After about 14 years, I went down to a single family household. Things were very difficult, to say the least. By just going on my teacher salary, it became critically necessary to pad my income as much as I could by doing summer work, working the fairs and seasonal work, working in the orchards, tutoring year round, started summer school, realizing that was good money. Anything I could do to try to help just stay afloat. As the years went on, I started seeing medical issues with the children, just normal things. I'm not here to have a pity party. Everybody goes through the same struggles. Everyone has, a surgery here and a health issue there. The medical bills were drowning, to say the least. The extra income I was making was not staying afloat. My school family was the family that kept me financially above water, and they're the ones that were raising money. They're the ones that were helping me out as much as possible. And I am forever grateful for that. My school family is what kept me here for 26 of my 27 years. I addressed the superintendent. I did everything I possibly could to reach out. I watched turnover after turnover of other staff members who were amazing teachers who unfortunately had to leave the county, not because of their lack of love for the students or the staff or the schools, but just to stay afloat. I was in that same position. I have always known that as much as I love this county, I would never be able to retire here. So I will always stay here. I will always live here. But this is the first year that I am now working in Prince William County. It is not Warren County. It is not Hilda Barber. I miss my kids. I miss the staff. I like my school. I am making it what it is. I'm making the best of it. I enjoy where I am, and people are very nice and kind. But I'll be bluntly honest, a $40,000 pay raise made it real easy to make that transition when my kids were finally out of school and I didn't have to worry about the parental concerns of staying in county for my children as well. So that's what I needed to let you guys know. Thank you.
Thank you. Who do we have next this evening?
Next, we have John Jenkins.
John Jenkins, South River District. This is my first school board meeting ever. My big concern for me is tax dollars. Your budget was an increase of about $6 million. That's going to have a big impact on the citizens here in Warren County. But there are some things that I tried to put together, and can't really see for teacher salaries. Looks like teachers' contracts is somewhere around 32 million. And there were 467 teachers. So if I divide that into the 31 million or something, that comes out to about 60, looks like $68,000 per year. So, and I don't know if that's a 9-month contract or a 10-month contract. If it's a 10-month contract, that's a pretty good salary for Warren County. If it was, because if looking at 12 months, that'd be like 82,000. But they're only working 10. I guess I'm not sure. I had no way to confirm that. The other thing I looked at was the number of students and your total budget. And it looked like the cost for the educate the students was almost $15,000. $15,000 per student. That's a lot. I think that you could probably go out to private schools and get an education less than that, possibly. And then the number of teachers, 467, and the number of students, 4,750. So I divide that into that, and it looks like that's 10 students per teacher. And I know the classrooms have more than that, so I don't understand that. Maybe there's another way to look at it. I don't know, but that's the numbers that I come up with. And I do believe that the Warren County, it was a nice presentation you did last week, very detailed. One of the things you didn't address was quality of education for Warren County students. Now, I don't want to be critical, but I just go online and I pull up information, and Warren County rated to all the counties in Virginia is at about 46%. So it's below a 50% average. So money is important, raises are important, but the quality of education that the children should get, in my mind, should be the most important. And you talked about less students, full-time students. It's not that the population in Warren County is decreasing. It's that a lot of parents are sending their children to private schools. The 13% increase on your budget, that's a lot. That's a lot. And for the county, for the board to sit down and figure all that out, they haven't got the budgets from the fire department, the sheriff's department. There's probably 18 different departments in the county that they haven't reviewed. So it's gonna be a tough decision.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins.
I don't know where the clock's.
Thank you.
It went off when it got down. Next, we have Sue Colors.
Good evening. I am a Warren County ESS substitute teacher, and I also substituted with ESS in Pasco County, Florida. Well, I keep hearing that eliminating ESS is a cost-saving measure, but we're talking about a program that works. The management is strong, like really strong, in Amy Shanley. I mean, she is the best. The system is efficient. Substitutes show up. Schools are covered. So why are we going to dismantle something that is clearly successful? As a substitute teacher, ESS provides clarity and consistency. The app that we use to pick up assignments is amazing. I don't know what y'all are going to do if it's in-house. That's certainly an expense. But I know where to go, who to contact, how I'll be paid, and what's expected of me. And as a caregiver for an elderly parent, that reliability is one of the reasons I'm able to say yes to assignments and show up prepared to support the students. Bringing substitute coverage in-house may look like savings on paper, but the administrative work does not disappear. Scheduling, payroll, last-minute coverage all require time and money, and those costs shift back onto the schools and the staff who are already stretched so thin. Now, I may not be clear on this, but I understand the substitute budget is over by about $73,000. But I'm hearing that $58,000 of that may be related to sick leave incentive, which I don't understand why that's in that budget. But if that's the case, the remaining shortfall may be much smaller and far more manageable than just eliminating a program that supports teachers and students so effectively. So I just ask you, I hope you haven't made your mind up already, but please consider the practical and human impact before making this decision. Our students deserve stability, and our teachers deserve support. You don't want to lose Amy Chanley, I'll tell you that. And of course, you know, our students, they're our future. And I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And last, we have Joanna Postlethwaite. I probably said that wrong.
This is my very first meeting that I've ever been to, and I am proud to say that I am an ESS employee. Very proud. Amy Chanley had the faith in me to hire me. I am not a teacher, never have been, but I am a mother of 3 children that are in their mid-30s. Anyway, my husband is a minister here in town, and one day we were talking. I see a need that teachers need help. So I was thinking, okay, how can I be a valuable person within my community? So I made a phone call one day. How can I help you? I had no clue. Amy says, Joanna, this is what we need to do. There is a need. Teachers need more help. So I became a substitute teacher, and Amy had the faith in me that sometimes I don't think I did. Anywho, I've been at this for 4 months. I have students come up to me and say, Mrs. P, thank you. I can now read. I can now do this math. I needed attention and the teacher was too busy. So, and I get it. Sometimes the teachers have 20 plus kids in their classroom. I understand. I have kids pulling at me or whatever have, Mrs. P, can you help me? I always say yes. Can you help me through your lunch? Of course. I am here for you because this is the next generation. Anywho, there is a great need for help. I have students that can't read. I was in a classroom today and a note came, please help so-and-so. She cannot read. She's in 3rd grade. Why? Why is that? I have substituted for a 5th grade class. They have trouble reading. They have trouble doing math. I have trouble with some of this new math. But anyway, there is a need. You should not cut the budget for an ESS substitute or instructional aid. If you do, looking at statistics, what is going to become? Like I stated, 5th graders can't read. 3rd graders can't read. They have trouble doing math. It is not the school system. The school system, by all means. Now, I've substituted in a lot of schools. I love each and every school that I have been in. But there's a need. How can we help the teachers? I had asked different ones, is there a summer school? Can I make myself available? This is the next generation. Thank you.
That's all, but it signed up.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak this evening that didn't sign up?
Good evening, members of the board and district leadership. My name is Charlie LaMattina. I am an ESS substitute. This is my 2nd year with ESS, and I absolutely love subbing for this company. From what I've heard from members of the schools before Amy came in, ESS was not a great company. The subs weren't reliable. They weren't all there. But since Amy has started working for ESS and the school district, has been an incredibly positive experience. I might get emotional because this is true to my heart, so I apologize. I felt welcome, supported, and valued in the buildings that I've served. I've subbed in all the schools except for AS Rhodes because their teachers never want to take a day off. Because of the structure and consistency provided through ESS, I'm able to focus on what truly matters, my students, supporting the teachers and the staff at these schools. Building relationships with students is the number one thing because, like the sub before me, we don't get to see these children every day, but when we do see them, they ask for help. They reach out for help because the teachers are overwhelmed with how many students don't get one-on-one help. The consistency and support we receive through ESS makes a significant difference. We know who to contact when we have questions. We get clear communication, timely weekly pay, and access to resources that help us be effective in the classroom. This stability allows us to feel confident and committed to our work. Stability in the substitute program doesn't just benefit us, it directly benefits, like I said, the students and the schools. When there's consistency on how we're hired, trained, and supported, schools can rely on familiar faces. I consistently subbed at Warren County Middle School for the same teachers Lynn Phillips, the ag teacher at Warren County Middle School, always requested me because she likes how I manage her classrooms. And then I took on the building-based position at LFK. Miss Cameron, Miss Lewis, even Miss Patty, they all love the fact that the students are always asking, where's Miss Charlie? Where's Miss L? Because I'm a familiar face. I've built these relationships. These students can rely on me. And one of our teachers this year, since I became the building base at LFK, their child got hurt at school. She had to leave. I had to go into her classroom. You guys eliminate ESS. How are they going to find that immediate coverage? We can't pull all of our IAs from other classes because some of them are our special needs IAs. Our special education, we can't pull from them. Some of these students need the support that the ESS subs give. The teachers need the support. A lot of us subs, we rely on our benefits that we get from ESS, the weekly pay, the health insurance, just something that helps us be stable at home. A shift away from the current model could unintentionally introduce added stress to the admin and the teachers. So thank you.
Thank you. Can you sign that log there for us too, please? Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Public hearing on the budget, last call. Next up this evening, we have the superintendent's budget FY27 discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I do appreciate the comments this evening as we go into potentially an opportunity to vote on tonight's budget and for the board to adopt the superintendent's presentation. So I will skip right to the agenda. So we've narrowed a few things down. We're going to focus on probably the things that we've had the most questions about since we've been through the whole thing. So I think that would be our ADM to take a look at that. Our substitutes, which we heard some tonight. We're going to hear a little bit about health insurance. That will be some information that will come to us from our HR department. Again, we'll cover the additional positions and enhancements just so we're all on the same page, that we haven't changed anything, just to clarify where those are. We won't spend much time on that. We do have a few changes based on the most recent information regarding utilities that Dr. Costner will bring to us in terms of non-labor and capital improvements. We also have a couple of options for you to consider in terms of our CIP with our schools and the roof options based on the work session last week, taking a look at the metal roof and the shingle roof. We have some new estimates. So that's sort of a summary of where we're heading tonight. The second page, as far as the budget summary and what we're looking for, the big difference there that a few folks mentioned in our local operating budget was an increase of $5.8 million, which is the third bullet down right at 5.8. And then when you include textbooks and the capital improvement that we're going to go through tonight, that bumps it up to a $7.2 million increase. So how we got there. One of the conversations that we've talked about several times, I think Mr. Jenkins brought it up in his public comment, was our ADM and the loss of students. I can tell you from anecdotal evidence, I spent the day in LFK today, and there was no wiggle room. So I went almost every classroom. I couldn't quite get them all in, but at least every grade level and our special needs students and PACE classes. And there's not a lot of wiggle room. So when you talk about the number of students per teacher and that sort of ratio, some of our students require multiple aides and teachers in the room, depending on the needs assessed. But the majority of our classes were full with one teacher and an aide maybe floating between 2 or 3 classes. So, and they were all extremely busy. So The elementary schools, by and large, right now are full at capacity with just, I think, a little bit of wiggle room. And Hilda J was probably the only one, and it's just a little bit. The others are right where they're hanging on, and 1 or 2 students really can make a big difference. So, so high school, secondary, our secondary schools, our middle schools, and our high schools, there's a little bit more room. There's a lot more options as far as classes and the graduation requirements. So that's where there's a little bit of wiggle room for us and a little bit of breathing room. We also talked about the opportunity is there, if possible, to maybe hold some positions as we look at those and really look at what's coming up in the future and putting those in strategic locations as we move into the next school year. But the big takeaway from this is as we lose students, it does give us a little bit of breathing room with teacher availability, but also we lose funds. And when we lose funds, it doesn't necessarily make the same impact on teachers. So losing students doesn't mean necessarily that it will free up our teachers in terms of it's a lot easier to cut teachers. You can't necessarily do that based on the ADM. But what does hurt us is that lack of funding. So just to cover, so we're all on the same page with the bullets on this enhancement. I think I'm at the slide. You want to go back? Yeah, there it is. Additional positions and enhancements. Right, yeah, that's okay. Yeah. That's the one right here. There it is. Okay, thank you. So the total for this fiscal year 27 budget, we are requesting 8.5 in new positions. We did dissolve and remove 5 positions from the budget, and it offset these requests for a total a net at the bottom, which would be 3.5 positions. So the details in there as far as what some of those are. The bookkeeper, the IRT, moving from 100% title funding and so forth. Those are spelled out on the handout, which is on the next page, I believe. So those are we are not in sync, are we? So I will go from yours. Go ahead, go to your handout. On the handout, if you go down the left side, those are the new positions, and I think that nets out about 728,000 in new positions total. And those are the ones that we listed, which are the Pupil Services Director, the BCBA, which is for Gen Ed, the Board Certified Behavior Analyst, our Human Resources / Communications Specialist position, which will be sort of a jack of all trades. It will cover a lot of things, including FOIA, assistance with our HR team in terms of taking over for substitutes and bringing them in-house, if that is the case of the board, the direction the board goes. Also a new systems technician in our technology department to work with cyber and supporting us in that need. And then 2 psychology interns, which we hope to pay for through our Medicaid, overage. The absorbed positions would be the receptionist at the school board office that we are doing double duty there and making that work. The dean of students at in this building at 15th Street that we will do without. A math teacher and a history teacher one math teacher at Warren County High School, one history teacher at Skyline High School, and the reading specialist at LFK, which is no longer needed. So just to clarify that, I believe our net savings there, the savings for that was 461,000, and then the cost of the additional positions netted out at 267,000. So while it looks like a lot of new positions by moving some things around, the total cost is not as significant as it could have been. And that brings us to substitutes. I think that's probably the most pressing thing in terms of concern. I think there may be some information out there, but maybe can bring to light. So if we could ask Ms. Drake to come forward and talk about substitute.
Good evening. All right. Substitutes is something that has been a discussion, some questions, comments, concerns that are coming forward. So hopefully just kind of addressing that tonight. One additional item that we did add that was not in the presentations before is a training rate of pay. So at the last presentation, we broke down the hourly wage for half-time, full-time, and we're adding in a long term. So we're going to add $15 per hour for training. So they would have to go through our training modules and we would have to compensate them. So I want to make sure that's added on there. Also, HR is HR regardless of where you go. We are really good at recruiting, retention. This is what we do. So we do have a timeline if this is the direction that we are moving on when communication will go out. Nothing has been sent out. And so I think that's a lot of the confusion and inquiries is, are we getting rid of them? Are we not getting rid of them? Are we still working this year? So as we look forward and move forward in whatever path that might be, if we do take them in-house, we have a plan from March through August for that communication, that recruiting process, our background process, our training process. This is what we do with our employees every day. So this is not going to be new for us. So just wanted to put that on here in case there were any additional questions and how that transition would work.
Just in general with the subs, are there any questions of how that would work before, are we moving on to health insurance?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer questions. So the system we use is the system we're implementing for time and attendance. So we would have no system change. The system does a lot of the work where our teachers put in their absences and vacancies where the substitutes can then request to pick up that vacancy. And so that there is no change. Even from our administrative staff, it's the same process as far as them being able to see, go in, who's here, who's not here, and things of that nature. Part of the budget request is to add to the team, obviously for capacity, but also within that capacity, we will need somebody to assist with FOIAs and then communications. So within the team, we're kind of changing some of the roles and responsibilities so that way we can manage that a little bit better with the additional staff. So, but same system. So no disruptions there. That's free for us to purchase and we're already going to be using it for our time and attendance. So just stays on track.
So to clarify, we can be using hopefully the same subs because we love our subs. We'll be using the same system through the app.
Correct.
I think one of the things that I'm realizing that a lot of people don't know is I believe it's it's a 33% markup that ESS puts on every sub.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw some data earlier. I don't have it right in front of me, but I think it was average sub payout was like 125 a day.
Yeah, depending on there's a lot of categories on whether you're have a degree, non-degree, half day, full day. If you're clerical sub, if you're an instructional assistant sub. So ours, we've just condensed down on what that would look like. And it would actually be a pay increase for in-house if we were to take that over because we can adjust from that inflation from, that's what businesses do when you contract out is they have to make money too. And I fully understand and recognize that. So, but bringing it in-house, like we will have that funding to be able to compensate the subs.
So potentially the subs could end up getting a raise because we're cutting out the service at the 33% markup.
Correct. Yep. And part of the presentation where we had the rates pulled up, it would be yes.
Okay. And I think when I was looking at the data you'd provide us before, we've actually been going over on average, 54% on our sub budget every year.
Yes.
And
correct.
so that is soaring. So the purpose behind the incentive for our teachers to come to work was that we were hoping to be able to keep that sub budget manageable so that we could retain ESS. But unfortunately that we've tried it, it hasn't worked, right?
Yes, and we need the coverage in the classrooms. Like we don't, our important is student safety. It's educating our students. That's not going away, whether it's in-house or if it remains with a contracted service. You know, the things that we need to look at is how to keep people at work without calling out. And so I think that's the root problem that we need to address as a school system. Either way, you know, getting the subs in the building in-house or not, we're going to provide for that, hopefully be able to manage the budget a little bit more. Again, it's never personal, it's just business and the numbers and where we're at.
Another question, is there a way for the substitutes to get paid more than the once monthly? Because I think that's gonna be a big deal for a big switch for substitutes.
Yeah.
Have you looked at increasing their pay frequency?
So we have not. That's not something we've considered. We have one payroll specialist. We are moving to an electronic payroll system coming soon, July 1, hopefully, pending you know, the HR non-labor budget. I'm not advocating for myself up here, but just throwing it out there. I mean, regardless, we're going to have to go to that for compliance reasons. And so that is something with our one payroll specialist. Is that something that she is able to do? And we haven't looked at that yet with the new system coming in. On a personal note, I came from an organization that was weekly pay. I was very nervous about monthly. I really was, because I'm like, oh, what's that look like? I'm used to buying groceries, you know, just for me, that's my pencil, it's fine. And I will say it's a lot easier now to say, okay, like here's what I've done in my work, and I can distribute it to my bills and what's necessary, and then, you know, have whatever funding is left over for whatever else I need. So, you know, I think it's just more of a change in mind that it's how to budget differently instead of a weekly budget. So it can be done.
Yeah, it's a little different for substitutes though, because I think in that you're relying on the same salary
Right.
every month, where substitutes might be picking up 3 days this week because they need money next
Yeah.
week for something.
Right.
So I think that's something to really consider moving forward.
And hopefully as they pick up the shifts, you know, and then know what they're getting for that next month, and then, okay, this is what I got, like, what do I need to pick up the next shift? So, you know, just to be able to get better into that routine.
And the other question that I had, teachers now, when they're filling in, like during their planning period, they're getting that increased pay or that extra additional
Correct.
pay.
Yep.
Will that continue in this plan?
Yes, and we have to now because we can't, you know, get all of the subs in when we need them. You know, we still have some vacancies, obviously, and that's when people have to be pulled or give up their block. And so we still have the timesheet for them to cover those classes if not filled. So that would stay in place.
So I wanted to circle back to the weekly pay thing. That's going to be a sticking point for me. I subbed in when I was in college. I worked as a waitress. When you're in certain phases of life, that's how you're not budgeting monthly.
Yeah.
And so I think that is going to be an issue. If we can't calculate out the pay for a weekly pay, in the automotive industry where they do it, in my experience, pay monthly, they give the techs a draw check. And so it's a predictive flat draw check. So they at least get some sort of supplemental income, and then you settle up at the end of the month. So that could be a consideration. But if we're going to electronic, I think we could hopefully get to a weekly or at least a bi-weekly type of pay situation.
And all of our employees might like a bi-weekly versus monthly pay. Not really sure. We just haven't explored that avenue yet because we haven't had to.
I think this conversation came up previously with bus drivers picking up shifts for like sports teams and field trip type travel, where they're picking up an extra job because maybe they needed that pay more quickly.
That's still paid monthly.
And so we know, I was just
Yeah.
mostly
Yep.
asking because I was wondering where that ever
Yeah,
happened.
so
I
they'll
think there
fill
would
out
be-
the timesheet, they turn it in, and then they're paid monthly within their salary paycheck. So if they do those additional responsibilities, that'll be added in.
So there might be other individuals that this would be a benefit to as well for those extra pickups.
Do we have any information on how many ESS employees currently are on the benefit plan? Because when I had dug into this before, when it had come up before Ms. Chandler was here, we were told that of all the subs, that we only had 2 employees that actually took the benefits, and they are high deductible plans. So
I emailed Andy today, maybe yesterday, don't quote me, but emailed him. I have not heard back to see if he can share that information. But I also asked him for a comparison of their benefits. So what do those even look like in comparison? Because it's not on their website for me to review.
I think as we move forward with this methodology of doing it in-house, I think we have to have some good rubrics for determining if it's a success. You know, how, whatever the measurements are for the year, so we can say, here it was, because obviously last year, ESS did very well in improving things, and we were able to see the metrics and say, that's great. It can't just be about the money. Money's important, I get that, but there has to be something else too. So it would be good to be able to have something at the end to see what you're looking for and say, here's what we expect it to look like at the end of the year, and evaluate it based on that.
I agree.
I agree with Tom. I think we need something, just like we're getting now with ESS, those fill rates, each month or week by school, so that we can track what those are. A concern that I have, even with ESS, is that the fill rates look great, because what I'm being told is that when a position is being filled by colleagues, they take it out of the system. So it looks like that position was covered, but it was not. So I'd like to see those left in there, just so we can get a good picture of how often are their colleagues being asked to fill in for them during their block periods or whatever it may be. Because I'd like to see less of that so that teachers get their full blocks. Another sub question I have is the full-time rate. Will we have full-time subs? Because we've got long-term positions that, somebody goes on maternity leave or sick, family care, anything like that. We're going to have those long-term positions. How will that work?
Yeah, so through our time and attendance system, we can track hours. There's a hourly or an annual rate that we can have somebody part-time without offering them benefits or making them a full-time employee. It's about 1,500 hours. So if we are here 7.5 hours a day, multiply that out by your 200, we'll be fine.
So they'll be able to have that long-term sub that can be in this classroom 5 days a week.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. If there is a lag in the fiscal year to calendar year that we'll have to look at, because it's based off tax season, it's not our fiscal year. We'll just have to monitor those hours that way, where maybe you can only do this part of it, or maybe we shouldn't ask you to do that long-term assignment if you're going to be over those hours. So that I don't want to say it won't come up, so we'll just have to monitor that through our system.
And then I just as well would like to see us investigate what it would take to pay them either weekly, bi-weekly, even bi-monthly. But I can understand that, whatever lifestyle you're living, some people may not choose to stay with us.
Yeah.
Because they just can't make a once a month paycheck work.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see if we could maybe offer them.
And that's truly capacity. Right now, I kind of joke about it, but I'm being serious. We are in the Flintstone age. We are turning in paper, handwritten, signed off. And so we have to be able to advance our systems to be able to do those things. And so that funding to get into non-labor, to invest in the systems, again, for our one payroll specialist who's phenomenal and does a great job, but we need to be a little bit more electronic to free up that time to be able to look at those options. So don't disagree. We just need to get there.
Yeah, so the plug for your HR to the supervisors who are here. I think there's also a safety issue with doing paper payroll. Large corporations, they have like a GPS on your phone. They know when you're there. We need to know who is actually in our schools and when they're in our schools. Not to mention, it will make the payroll process much easier. And paper is just, it's not adequate with a size system such as this. And to piggyback on what Ms. Jones was saying about the data, when I was looking back over the years of the ESS data, what I'd like to see tracked are the teacher absences. We've focused a lot on doing the celebrations for the attendance awards for the schools, for the students, but not for the teachers. And as was mentioned, nobody wants to miss it at AS Roads. Well, why? What are they doing that's incentivizing those teachers to stay there? There are certain schools who are eating up a larger percentage of that sub budget and going over budget and has a larger budget to begin with. So I think that would be something we could look at as
Yeah,
well.
And I agree, that's the root problem is we don't need as many subs regardless of what direction you go if our employees are at work. So with our new timekeeping system, a new policy will be generated to be able to help us support that because we don't have one right now. So all kind of in the makings, just kind of 'tis the season for budget and to see where we are to continue to develop these things as we can move forward is what we're wanting to do as well. So agreed. All right, healthcare. All right. So about maybe 4 hours ago, maybe 5 now, we did finally get the rates from the local choice. And so our percentage increase was 23.7, far off from the 12% prediction that was made. Have a Region 4 HR email that's been kind of going around, and there's been text messages, phone calls already on like, what was your rate? What did you get? You know, and so 19% for some of the surrounding counties around us as well. So everybody is seeing a very big boost. They are also not going to be covering the GLP-1s in our new proposal with the local choice. So I was hoping that it would have been a less of a percentage if they were taking those out. Well, we still had a high percentage with them taking them out still. So we are no panic. I don't want anybody to say, now what am I going to do? I have to start looking because the plan is still in place. We are still doing the RFP. This was really step one. We needed our renewal so we can go out and do the RFP so we can look at other fully insured options, look at self-insured options. I have not talked to the county yet to see exactly, you know, what they're looking to do, because like we talked about in the joint presentation from a previous meeting, if GLP-1s were dropped, then they were going to be joining that RFP with us. So just need to touch base with them. But like I said, we just got it today. So really it'll be the next month. So the RFP will go out. We will get other quotes in. We'll see what those other rates are to then really formulate a presentation on benefits and where we are. So again, this was step one in getting the renewal rates. So we will be working behind the scenes as always with the 23.7% increase and looking at what we have. What would that look like if we were to remain with TLC? And then we can't really predict anything until we get the RFP back to look at those other options. So we will continue to work as best as we can, but that will take about a month for people to be able to bid and then us get them back and then review. So the town of Front Royal also uses TLC. And so I have reached out to their HR department just for a conversation to see what would it look like if the town, the county, and the school were all to look, you know, at TLC specifically. How would that help our rates? Would it help just us? Maybe not them. Would it help them, not us? We don't know, but I haven't heard back. I mean, again, I just made that call with them, so I want to give them some time to reach back out. But just again, we're exploring options. I just don't want anybody to go into panic mode just because we got one quote back. So we will continue to work on that. Well, thank you.
I believe Dr. Costner is going to share some details regarding the utilities, as well as the CIP on the non-labor portion.
Madam Chair, board members, as you see, when we presented our first budget for our cost for electrical rates, we were not aware that it was going to go up 11%. The town of Front Royal is scheduled to go up their electrical rates by 11% starting July. So what we did is we took that 11%, as you can see, calculated to our current appropriations, and tallied it up, and there is an increase of $177,457.88. So that is why there is an increase there for that non-labor component. It's beyond our control, but we do need to keep the lights on, so. Any questions concerning this increase?
Can we ask them to just be really nice and not increase our rates?
I'll be glad to ask it. If we
Is it
can't ask them that, I
negotiable?
think we've actually tried. But not in the defense of the town, they have been very helpful with some things with issues that we've had with water, and stuff. So they have tried to work with us, that they have. So they have been, very good to work with. But yes, ma'am, I understand. Next up you have in front of you is our capital improvement. We did look, and actually Mr. Helmick did some great digging to try to see if we could kind of come up with some questions that were asked about our metal roof versus a 50-year shingle roof. And so what you see in front of you, the request, you can tell the difference in option A. It talks about at Hilda J. Barber, the EPDM replacement. Then the metal roof is $825,000 is what the quote came in at. And then the 50-year shingle was $306,000, which actually is a little bit less than we originally looked at. So our total request, if we went with the shingles, would be a little bit less than what we'd asked for, but I wanted you to see both of them in comparison. So you can see there if the current proposed budget by the superintendent is $1,235,000 for capital improvements. That's what's in front of the board. That's what we've been working with. If you were to decide to go with option A, which would add the metal roof to Hilda J, there would be an increase. As you can see, it would be $1,630,000. If we decided to go, the board will to go with option B, then it would be $1,111,000. So those are the two that are in front of you, depending on what the board decides what they would like to do moving forward. Any questions? Thank you.
The only other reminder that we had in our presentation is coming up in 2 weeks, March 4th, which we would then present an approved or adopted budget to the Board of Supervisors. So sometime between now and March 4th, we're tasked with adopting a budget. That's all I have for this evening, if there are no other questions from the board.
Any other questions? I'm gonna ask the board if we're ready to make a motion on this budget this evening. We had also talked about setting aside a meeting next week if we wanted to have additional questions answered or conversation between now and then.
Well, we have to make, we have to make a decision with these roof
Yes,
problems before we can ever vote on it.
so yes, it would be deciding and modifying and
I don't have enough knowledge about roofs.
Mr. Klein.
Mr. Klein, do you have any knowledge about roofs?
A little.
All right. I mean, is a metal roof supposed to last like forever?
You're gonna get 60 to 100 years out of it.
Maintenance,
No maintenance.
no maintenance, okay.
But yet the 50-year shingle is 306. You can get 100, two of those. Well, if we don't know how much in 50 years the shingles are going to be.
And will it last 50 years? Yeah.
You're not gonna get 50 years out of it, not in our current climate.
Okay.
What do you think we would get?
Hmm?
How long do you think a 50-year shingle would
You
last?
typically get 40 to 45. It's usually 10 to 5 years less. It all depends on weather conditions as well.
Money
Whether the-
wise, I
No, go ahead.
Money wise, I lean towards going with the 50-year shingle now because we're already asking for a lot. So I lean towards that, but I would like to see in our capital improvement plans moving forward to maybe transition all of our roofs in the future over to metal roofing.
Yeah, I'm sort of that way too. I mean, this is the year we haven't had much extra money the past couple of years, and we're asking for a lot. Maybe this one gets the 50-year shingle, and if we have a plan for how to the next 5 years, how to because we have all these roofs we have to replace, where we can get it in and how which ones we can put a metal in. Maybe that's the easier way to do it because it's already a huge ask in the first place.
I'm gonna go with the metal.
George is paying for the metal.
Sell us on it, George. Tell us why.
Well, I mean, honestly, just in the longevity of it and the maintenance of it, and just knowing that the weather conditions play a big part in shingle life. I know it's a big ask, but looking in the long term, I think it's a savings. Not that I'm gonna be here to see it, but it'll be pretty much a 60 to 100-year problem later.
All the leaking that we had going on when Skyline High School was built, was that because of the shingle roof? What was the deal there?
I think it was shingle roof, yes.
It was a flat roof and the failure to install properly and building settling is some of the things that were discussed.
I mean, in
Was
my
it- wasn't that
opinion,
with
I'd like to have
membrane? Wasn't
one
that-
more meeting before, in my opinion. But
It was what?
He wants to have one more meeting before
more.
we vote on it.
Oh, on the roof situation.
Well, yes, the budget.
So we're gonna vote on how much we're requesting from the Board of Supervisors, but we also have the matter of the carryover funds for many years that we have not yet gotten. So my computer just died, so I can't pull up Mr. Valentine's email. Do we remember how much?
6
Whatever.
6 million. A 6.
I honestly, I
6.8.
don't remember off the top of my head. He had sent a great chart. I want to make sure I understood the chart correctly and, but I feel like there should be quite a bit of money that is really due to come back to us.
But the budget that we're approving will still be the budget that we're approving, and then that's certainly another
Yeah.
conversation of where that money's coming from.
Well, what I was thinking though was, I believe that it was what, 1.2 million was what the ask was for the capital improvement. Right?
Depending on which roof we.
Well, right. So yeah, capital improvement fund request 1.235. So if we were to approve the budget as it was presented, and then we were to actually get the money that we have due coming back to us, that could cover the difference and we could get the metal roof. Right? And then we wouldn't have to approve it right this moment.
Did you pull up that chart?
Yeah.
Yeah, he pulled it up for me. So it looks like, Mr. Valentine, correct me if I'm reading this chart wrong, but do we have $6.8 million that's supposed to come back to us? That's not it.
Or is it the?
I see it. Yeah, or is it the 2 million or, thank you very much. This doesn't pull apart.
What I'm showing is in fiscal 22, there was $973,098 that was what we'll call carryover money in the school board's operating budget. That I do not show was appropriated back to the school board. The following year, it was down to $215,477. And I do not show that that was appropriated back to the school board. So you would have those two sums that I can only imagine maybe the counties used them for some other purpose. I don't know. And then the problem is we don't have the fiscal 24 or 25 audit yet. So we don't even know what those numbers are.
So it's like 1.1 million that you've,
That,
we never asked
that was
for.
recognized in the audit that did not get appropriated back to the schools, at least directly that that we're
Right,
aware
that
of.
we never asked for.
Well, it looks like we would certainly have enough to coming back to us that we could cover a metal roof and have we dealt with the tennis court situation that is dealt with now or not dealt with now?
Well, Skylines are done, but Warren County's using Skylines courts, correct? Because they
They're,
haven't
they're
been
gonna fix those in the spring because of the weather.
Weather, yes.
one side.
But that money has been
already been
appropriated, so
allocated.
it is earmarked
Okay,
for the tennis courts.
so let me do math here. real
And then
quick.
we have a big if. If we're owed that money, will we get it? To me, that's a big question, but
Personally, I'd like to know a little bit more about the weekly pay on the subs versus what we do that more than once a month as well. So I'd be in favor of meeting, one more meeting.
Yeah.
And you guys have a
Are
facilities?
we have a facilities meeting next week, but we're not voting on the ESS determination tonight, correct?
But it's gonna be a part of our budget. So like when we do it, it'll be,
Wouldn't the budget have to stay the same no matter what though? Because this year we actually made an actual, like usually in the budget request, we're requesting less in the budget than what the actual spend was the year prior. So it looked like on the sub budget, we were actually asking for what we had spent, this year or what we had spent last year, 1.2. Is that what we are set to spend
What we're
this year?
projected to spend this year is what we're asking for next year.
Okay. So it's a better estimate is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, more accurate.
Right, because I think so many different budget packets.
And I believe, Ms. Drake, it's what we spent last year also. Is that correct for the sub budget? Yes. So it's both what we spent last year and what we're projecting, so it should be fairly accurate.
I guess what I'm trying to say is whether we keep ESS or don't keep ESS, that sub budget, as far as I'm concerned, cannot go any higher. And I want all the teachers to hear this, like, if you want us to be able to fund the health insurance more and continue with the raises and stuff, there's the money right there, is get the sub budget back under control. Because I know we've certainly asked every year that I've been on this board, our budget since 2023, so we're post-COVID, has nothing to do with COVID absences. Our budget has gone from a $610,000 sub budget, and now we're looking at a year of spending $1,124,923. That's double. Our sub budget has doubled in 3 years. That's insane. So, but yes, I want the metal roof. I want the metal roof. I want the metal roof. But I think we're looking at a budget of like a 10-cent tax increase. And I'm really hoping the county refunds their money from past years of unspent. I mean, I would be comfortable with moving forward with just voting on the budget as it sits and not choosing on ESS or the roof type at this moment, in hopes that we can cover with rollback funds the upgrade to the metal roof and decide that maybe at the budget committee or the building committee meeting, and then going forward with the sub situation, see if we can work out a more frequent pay plan type situation. And I will preface this by saying, I don't think I have ever voted in favor of a school board budget in the history of my 5 years on this board. Because I've never seen a budget cycle go like this. We started early, we planned it well, all of us were involved. I saw true sacrifice along the way. And I feel like this meets in the middle. And I actually believe that we need the money this year.
how much will the insurance, the new rate, that's gonna impact the budget as well? The insurance, the budget total.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can we even vote on
Yeah,
it?
can we even vote on budget without that?
It will. We need to go through the RFP process. Like I said, it will take a month. So to be able to say next week, on the budget, I will not have an answer for you because that process will not be done. So right now it was about 7.3 million going off memory that we've asked the county for to fund. And so what would have to be done as just kind of a preliminary conversation would be, we would have to still stay within that realm and have to figure out what those numbers are, adjust, our plans, our tiers, and what we're doing with those numbers. So we would have to work within that realm. But the county is also going to see an increase. And so they're also going to be in the same boat as us as well. So maybe not as much, I don't know, but they'll be looking for the same thing because they're with TLC and nobody got a decrease from TLC. I can say that confidently. So
So we essentially wouldn't add the 11.7% to the end of the total of the budget.
no, we would have to work within the 7.3 million for the Warren County Public Schools responsibility and adjust our benefits that accordingly.
What's the date that they're setting the tax rate? Sorry to put you on the spot back there, Dr. Martin. Sorry. What's the date that the county is setting the tax rate this year? Because last year it went like suddenly very quickly to like remember
They did it
what
when we did our presentation.
Yeah.
like it was all like I do not want to get stuck in a position where we are sitting there presenting our budget and they suddenly set the tax rate because we had the reassessment last year, so all of our values went up, and then they equalized and reduced the tax rate. I believe is what they did, right? They reduced the tax rate. So then there wasn't money available. So if we're negotiating our budget after they set their tax rate, we lose. So we need to.
So, I didn't bring my phone in with the calendar,
Okay.
but it is at the
End of April. Okay. So we have time to wait a month for the RFP to come back before we would have to vote this in, or before we're like, it doesn't make sense to me why we would present our budget to the county before our budget's complete.
And we don't have the money, we don't have the revenue
Well,
numbers, right?
we don't know everything yet.
Right.
It's gonna have to be changed depending on what the state.
That's the only reason
This
I
is
want an extra meeting is just to try
Yeah.
to narrow down some of those things we don't know.
But I don't think we'll know it next week is what
Yeah.
we're saying. Like, we won't know it.
We're not gonna know it on the board.
No, we're not
No,
gonna.
we won't know it.
I mean, we currently have an estimate of the 2% increase, which was the governor's budget built in. And then our ask on top of that, we had an estimate for insurance of 12%, which obviously we can use a better number now and we can plug that in. But we don't have a solution for the current estimate from local choice, which is why we have to go out for an RFP. So we could plug in a different estimate that maybe is a little more feasible, but in the meantime, we will work through how we would manage with local choice and what that would look like if that's who we went with, because there are things we can do on our end in terms of options that we provide and so forth that would make it affordable even and keep the insurance that folks are familiar with. So we can problem solve those things in the meantime, and we can again wait on the RFP process. I think there's some discussion, sounds like, for the roof and some more discussion regarding ESS. If that would probably be the bulk of the discussion for next week. If you wanted to have an additional meeting, those would probably be the two main things that I've heard. I don't know how much we can talk about insurance. We would just be waiting. If anything, we could maybe discuss options if we stayed with TLC, but I don't even know if we want to do that until we get the RFP process back.
Basically, the point for us to approve a budget at this point is it shows what we think in this spot in time, what we're asking for, and it shows the county how much more money we're going to be asking, but there's probably going to be some shifting within that budget because of all the things that we don't know yet, but then we're kind of within that ask. And then also the county will come back and say, you're getting actually this instead, and then the whole thing has to be reworked from that angle as well, so.
And you could adopt the budget as presented. And in terms of the CIP piece, you could just go with the original version. And then that could be, the metal roof could be discussed in your capital meetings, with the county that you meet in, monthly. Yep.
So with the March 4th, the Board of Supervisors school board budget presentation, March 4th, where we're supposed to be presenting to them a completed budget, could that be morphed into another work session with the Board of Supervisors? And that way, I don't know, work it all out.
I think we probably won't have as much, we won't have the information we need by March 4th. We probably, if we're fortunate, we will just have gotten state revenue. And if we're fortunate, that would be like early. So, in which we would be able to have more accurate numbers in terms of our ask, but I doubt that we'll have it by March 4th, but that would be about the timeline it would come in at its earliest. So more than likely, the scenario would go that we present the adopted budget on the 4th, as this is our official ask, and then we wait for revenue to come in and we can modify that, meet with the supervisors again, meet with the county administrator, and modify so that they see additional revenues we got would take away from the total ask. So it might be a work session, Ms. Salins, potentially maybe after, once we have all the final numbers after that.
Okay, so the March 4th meeting still stays on the book. Do you need us to get this passed before March 4th? I guess it's
Before March 4th, we need an adopted budget. Yes, we do
Okay.
need to adopt a budget.
Okay.
Can we vote to approve the budget without like a concrete decision on the roofing? And that could be something on the 4th. We have a little back and forth that night with the Board of Supervisors, as in getting their, opinion on that. However, I don't want them to say, okay, well, if we give you the additional money, you have to spend it on a roof.
But I think that could also be, if we ever find out, is there any carryover or turnover funding that we could ask back? That might be our buffer for that, where we could ask to bump that up.
And the current budget does have the CIP portion of the
Mhm.
budget does have the shingle roof in it. So you would just be, there could be discussion later for additional appropriation to cover a metal roof.
We could just put it all in right now.
So is it your preference that we signal that we're pretty mostly good with this number and have a vote on it and say we approve this budget with possible amendments in the future when more information comes in?
I mean, we know we're gonna have, because we know we don't have all the information yet, so there will have to be more information when the insurance comes in. But
Yeah.
yes, my preference, I mean, I think nothing really is gonna drastically change
I agree.
between now and next week. Like,
I
we
agree.
know these
Yeah.
numbers
We're not
are.
gonna have a whole bunch of new information next week.
I'm with that. I'm good with that.
So is there a motion?
I'll do it. I'll do it. I move that the proposed fiscal year 27 superintendent's budget be approved as presented.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any additional discussion? Ms. Stelzel, could you do roll call, please?
Sure. Mr. Klein,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Dr. Pence,
Aye.
Mr. McFadden,
Aye.
Ms. Salins.
Aye.
Thank you. Great. Next up, Ms. Salins, could you read us into executive session, please?
This motion is made that this open public meeting of the Warren County School Board become a closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711. The school board desires to discuss the following matter in a closed meeting. Section 2.2-3711A1, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of employees of the school board, specifically the personnel report, the personnel report addendum, and employee number 2026-0218-01. Also, section 2.2-3711A29, discussion of the award of a public contract involving the expenditure of public funds, including interviews of bidders or offerers and discussion of the terms or scope of such contract, where such discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body, specifically the contract with substitute provider ESS.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Ms. Dalzell, could you do roll call, please?
Aye.
Mr. Klein, Ms. Jones.
Aye.
Dr. Pence,
Aye.
Mr. McFadden.
Aye.
Ms. Salins.
Thank you. Ms. Salins, could you read us out of executive session, please?
According to the votes recorded by the clerk, the school board of Warren County does hereby certify that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act were discussed in the closed meeting to which the certification applies. And 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered by the school board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Dalzell, could you do roll call, please?
Sure. Mr. Klein,
Aye.
Ms. Jones,
Aye.
Dr. Pence,
Aye.
Mr. McFadden.
Aye.
Ms. Salins.
Aye.
Is there a motion on the personnel report and personnel report addendum?
I move that the February 18th, 2026 personnel report and personnel report addendum be approved as presented.
Is there a second?
I second it.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Thank you. And we'll meet again on March 4th. Anything else this evening?